Hi everyone, it's so great to be back here. Can I just get a quick show of hands? Who hates public speaking? Raise your hands. Okay, thank you. I feel less alone. Speaking of feeling less alone, that is actually my goal here today. If I can help even one of you in the audience feel less alone, I've done my job. If you don't know me, my name is Lindsay O'Brien. I was PC 21 Omega here at TFIE. And I just graduated last spring. This is actually my 4th year coming up on stage for D's Philanthropy. It never gets easier. But regardless, I'm here to talk to all of you, not just about ANAD, but about the struggle of comparison and self-image, and honestly how to survive college. The first year I came up here was my sophomore year, and I'm gonna be so honest, I really just lied to all of your faces. I mean, looking back, if you saw my Snapchat story, I feel like it was pretty obvious. The constant blacking out and surrounding my entire life around partying. You know, when you get in your car and map says home in 15 minutes, but it's really just standard. I mean, my narrative and vulnerability were real, but my pride was fake. I said I had recovered, and I said I was fine. Actually, I said I was thriving. Yes, I had recovered from anorexia, but the reality was I had fallen even deeper into that self-loathing mindset. I had sunk into a binge restrict cycle, the rock bottom of eating disorders. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so let's go back to the beginning. I think the first time I looked in the mirror and was dissatisfied with the body I saw looking back at me was around 7th grade. As the center on the basketball team and the tallest girl in school, my coach would constantly refer to me as the big. Obviously he was a man, no offense to the men in the audience. But seriously, once middle school rolled around, big had a new meaning. I was no longer tall and strong, but I wasn't skinny. I didn't look like the models on my Instagram Explore page, or like the high schoolers who walked the halls in their low-rise jeans and crop tops. I was the big. Subconsciously, I started to identify with that. And the body dysmorphia mindset quietly began to take hold beneath the surface of my thoughts. Fast forward to sophomore year of high school. I transferred from my town public school to the preppy Monmouth County private school, Red Bank Catholic, New Jerseyans, if you know, you know. Anyways, here's where I began to make real friends. People that appreciated my authenticity, and some I consider my best friends to this day. But this is also where I had new role models. Role models who didn't eat at lunch, who juice cleansed weeks before prom, who compared waist sizes in the bathroom mirror. Between junior and senior year is when I met my new enemy. Her name was calories. After a few months, calories were all I could think of. I learned to feel full by watching mukbangs and drinking gallons of water a day. I forced myself to do Chloe Ting ab workouts before every meal and body checking after I'd eaten so I never appeared to be full. In the beginning, I was thriving. Every day, I woke up excited to rush to the scale and see the numbers drop, to step into my bedroom mirror and see the beautiful damage I was creating. I wanted to see how long I could make my morning skinny last. Hours, the whole school day, 2 days a week. Gradually, this obsession began to consume me. I couldn't hang with friends anymore, or my boyfriend at the time. My family even began to come second to my routine. Wake up, mirror, YouTube Pamela Reif 6-minute abs, coffee, mirror, get dressed, mirror, school, mirror, water for lunch, grapes of unlucky, mirror, 2 hours gym, mirror, 100-calorie dinner, mirror, shower, mirror, sleep. By month 6, I started crashing hard. I will never forget the shower when everything changed. I was washing my hair, and as I was lathering in shampoo, clumps of hair began to fall out. My heart sank. Could this be my fault? Am I doing something wrong? Well, obviously yes, but denial is not just a river in Egypt. My mom began to question my outfit choices as I refused to wear anything but sweats and hoodies. God forbid she saw my body. As we lived under the same roof, she caught on quickly. Unless I got better, she said I was no longer going to college. This struck a nerve. As a senior in high school, college was literally my life goal. My ticket out, freedom, independence, doing whatever I wanted. But gaining weight, my stomach turned at the thought of that, literally. I began to have the worst stomach pain I've ever experienced. I was excruciatingly bloated and thought I was dying. Technically, my body was dying. Next stop, hospital. Next step, colonoscopy. Turns out hair loss wasn't the only side effect. I had an ulcer, deteriorating stomach lining, and a lifelong condition called ileus. My stomach muscles no longer contracted on their own, making it close to impossible to digest food. Recovery was no longer a choice. Pessimism, depression, self-loathing, these came in waves as I started recovery. But with perseverance and a robust support system, after a while, there was a light starting to spark in this tunnel of darkness, and that light started to spark in me. As I was getting my energy back, I could go out for dinner, I could work out without fighting a blackout. My rigid routine no longer came first. I wish I could say this was the end of the battle, but it was really just the beginning. Welcome to FAU, freshman year of college. My first thought at orientation was, damn, there's a lot of baddies in Boca. The thoughts I had shoved in the back of my mind started creeping through again. Why am I not as skinny as her? Why are my boobs not as perfect as her? My frame not as proportional, my ribs not smaller, my nose not as perfect. The devil of comparison had returned. So looking back at my old Instagram photos and counting the ribs and staring at my visible collarbone, I was blind to the obvious signs that read, caution, don't go back, love yourself, stay the fuck away. I began to relapse. But this time it wasn't as easy. The 2 years I spent starving myself had permanently confused my hunger cues, causing a relentless hunger that never seemed to be satisfied. As I was partying more and more, I realized these overwhelming feelings of self-hatred seemed to numb themselves as I would drink. So I drank more and more. It was to the point where I didn't want to go a day without a drink. I told myself, it's college, who cares, as I was flunking all of my classes. Over time, it became harder to numb the pain with alcohol alone, so I turned to marijuana. There wasn't a day that go by that I wasn't drunk or high, or both. I began to stop caring about myself. I let myself go. I would eat everything in sight until I was painfully full, and then cry from all the shame I felt. I would hide wrappers, I would binge, I would purge, I wouldn't leave my bed. I would starve myself all day until midnight, when I would consume a meal meant for 5 and follow it up with what's for dessert. Binge restrict, binge restrict, binge restrict. It was at this point I began to cut myself and plan the ways I could end it all. I will never forget sleeping being my favorite part of the day because it was the closest I could be to not being alive. And then I would cry hysterically when I woke up because I had to face another day. But fortunately, I was just a little too strong to take those next steps. I would think about the way my family would feel, how my mom would feel. My uncle had killed himself a few years before, and I saw what that did to my grandmother, and I could never do that to my own mother. So I made a new plan. How can I not feel this way? How can I be happy? Of course, I didn't have all the answers right away, but this small change of perspective was the key to changing my life. Even in the darkest moments, we can still find courage in ourselves, and through community, we can grow. I started with a fresh slate. Try not to count calories, delete my FitnessPal, spend more time at the gym and less at bars, and say yes to things I was avoiding. I forgot to mention that during this 1.5 years of depression, I completely isolated myself from everyone and everything. If you know anything about depression, you know it goes hand in hand with anxiety. And that is exactly what was manifesting in the back of my mind. Once I had begun to gain back control of my relationship with food, the next step was in my relationships with people. The anxiety that had me hating myself grew into a fear of being perceived. Once again, I cared so much what people thought of me. As this is something I still struggle with from time to time, there are certain things that have helped me rise above these fears. For example, the whole YOLO mindset, like, hello, we're gonna be old and wrinkly one day, and these little superficial things that we focus so strongly on don't matter at all. I know it's easier said than done, but if you say it enough times, it becomes habitual. I've also learned we need to be uncomfortable to get comfortable. We have to face challenges and step out of our comfort zone before we can grow and feel confident. For me, making new friends and learning new things was a process that I needed to learn to enjoy, not one to be afraid of. I think the most important thing I've learned through this experience is gratitude. Learning to count my blessings and be grateful for every day has made me a happier, more confident, and more optimistic person. Between community, gratitude, and courage, I was able to fight the demons of comparison, self-loathing, and depression. Standing here today, I'm not saying that I have it all figured out, because I don't. But I'm proud to say that I'm finally free. Free from the shame, the guilt, and the comparison that used to control every part of me. I can finally look in the mirror and see someone I love looking back. Someone who is stronger, wiser, and so much more than the girl who once thought her worth was measured by a number. I am truly better than ever, and not because everything is perfect now, but because I've learned how to love myself through the imperfections. College was a roller coaster of highs and lows, but every moment, good and bad, has taught me something. I've learned that healing isn't linear, that growth can be uncomfortable, and that strength is found in vulnerability. Through it all, I found that the most beautiful thing about this journey is that it's mine. I am endlessly grateful for the opportunity to stand here and share my story and speak so openly about something so many of us endure and fight silently. ANAD has given me the space to turn my pain into purpose, and DeFi has given me the sisterhood that made that possible. This chapter of my life, and this philanthropy in particular, taught me what true compassion, acceptance, and empowerment looks like. DeFi has shown me that you don't need to be perfect to be powerful, and healing isn't something you do alone. It's something that we do together. So tonight, as we honor ANAD and everything it stands for, I want to leave you with this. You're not defined by your body, your mistakes, or your past. You are defined by your strength, your heart, and your courage to keep going. Be gentle with yourself, count your blessings, and never forget that you are enough exactly as you are. Thank you. Godspeed.